In today's video, we're going to be having a look at some of the latest features that have been added to the NSPanel HomeAssistant Blueprint project. Check it out. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. If you have no idea what the NSPanel HomeAssistant Blueprint project is, which is a massive mouthful to say, but if you have no idea what it is, essentially it's a brand new project that allows you to set up and configure your NSPanel using just ESP Home and a simple Home Assistant blueprint. In a previous video, I ran through the full setup and installation process to actually get this set up and working, so if you are interested in that, you'll find a link to that video in the description below. In the description below, you'll also find a link to the project repo, so you can go and check that out, and there's also a dedicated guide that's on that repo that just reads through and tells you everything you need to do in order to get this all working. So that's what it is and what it does. Now let's get into the new features. Hey, it's Mark from the future here. Sorry to interrupt your video, but I just wanted to point out that this video has been quite delayed. So delayed in fact that the 3.2 update for the NSPanel is actually just around the corner. So if you haven't seen these features, then carry on watching and enjoy the features, but there's even more cool features on the way. So if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe because I'm definitely going to be covering that update whenever it releases. And enjoy the rest of the video. Up first, we've got a brand new page called the Entity Card page. Just like with the button page, you get 4 different pages which you can fill with 8 different buttons. Well, with the Entity Card page, you also get 4 pages with 8 different entities, but these entities can display the state of an individual entity. And this could be quite useful if you wanted to say maybe display who's home, maybe you want to display what contact sensors are currently on or off, or maybe what lights are on and off. To activate the new Entity Card page, you'll first need to go into your blueprint and you'll need to toggle on the switch for Activate Entity Pages. An entity on the entity page has 3 different properties. The first one is the entity that you want to actually set, so this could be your contact sensor or maybe a person or a light. The second property is the friendly name, so this is a name that you want to actually sit next to the state of the entity, so you can call this whatever you want. And the final property, which is icons, brings us nicely onto my second feature, which is icon fonts. Icon fonts have been added, and this allows you to make use of all of the same material design icons that you can set and view within Home Assistant, all on your NSPanel. You'll find a link to a cheat sheet of all of the icons that you can use in the description below, but next to your entities on the entity page, you're able to set a little icon which just gives it a bit more flair. To set an icon, you can just choose one from the list of icons available, and you'll want to make sure you select the little U icon. With that selected, it should copy that to your clipboard, and if you head back into your blueprint, you can just paste that into the blueprint. You might notice that it's set to a weird square icon, but don't worry, that does mean it has worked, and once you click save, you'll see that icon appear next to your entity. Next up, we've got the QR code page. The QR code page can be viewed in a couple of different ways. The first method for viewing it is just by activating the QR code page. This puts a little icon on the front of your panel, and when you select that icon, the QR code that you've set within your configuration will be displayed. Personally, I'm using this page to actually display a connection for my Wi-Fi, so guests can just select this and then they can scan that code and connect to my Wi-Fi. The next method for viewing the QR code page is by making use of the Home Assistant service call. In your service calls, you'll find a new call for the QR code, and this call allows you to pass in a parameter, and whatever you set in that parameter, whether it be a link or a bit of text, and that will then display on the panel. Carrying on with the 4th feature, and we've got Relay Fallback. Relay Fallback allows you to set up an automatic fallback just in case your NSPanel loses its connection to Wi-Fi or to Home Assistant. With Relay Fallback activated, the left or right hardware buttons can be used to manually control Relay 1 and Relay 2, regardless of how they've been set up and configured. This means that if you've set them to do anything else other than control the relays, when it loses its connection, it will actually automatically revert, meaning you can control whatever the relays should normally be controlling. In order to activate Relay Fallback, you'll need to set this up within your blueprint, and you'll need to do this for both the left and right hardware button. We're halfway there now with feature 5, and feature 5 is page timeouts. On your panel, when you change page, after a set amount of time, the page will automatically jump back to the home page, and this might not necessarily be what you want it to do all the time, or maybe you want it to actually stay on a set page and you have to manually change back. Well, now you can actually set this. In your panel configuration, you're now able to manually adjust the page timeout, so you can set it to be a longer delay, or if you set it to 0, the page will never jump back to the home page, and the only way of getting back to the home page is by manually pressing the X button. Feature 6 brings us a brand new boot screen. Previously, this screen only displayed the IP address, but now this screen also features the TFT version, your ESP Home version, and also the Blueprint version. It's a very small change, but it's a nice one to have, and it's a very clean indicator for what your actual device is running just when it boots up. Long presses have been added to both the left and right physical buttons on the panel, so you're now able to make use of this as an action within your automations or scripts to have this trigger something within HomeAssistant. Maybe it's a service call, or maybe it's just to turn on an entity. Next up, we've got feature 8, and this one is probably my favourite feature of the entire update. But it's the fact that any change you make within the blueprint is now automatically applied instantly. This feature is a game changer, especially when you're designing your panels. So if you have your panel set up on your desk and you're turning things on and off, or you're moving things around, you'll actually see it reflect on the panel. So here, for example, if I turn on the QR code, you'll actually see the icon automatically pop up on the panel, and then I can start using it. Next up, we've got feature 9, and this one's been brought on by a huge community effort, but it's the support for the US version of the NSPanel. Previously, you could only utilise this project if you had the EU panel, but thanks to a combined community effort, the US panel is now supported. It supports the same feature set that the EU one does, and the only real difference is the fact that you have to use a different TFT file, which is understandable because the screens are different sizes and shapes. The final feature then is a collective of bug fixes and improvements with the Blueprint ESP Home code and also the TFT code. The panel's now running a lot smoother, and a lot of the bugs that I encountered in previous versions have now all been cleared up. And there we go guys, that's been a quick look at 10 new features that have been added to this project. A massive thank you to Blackimus and all of the members of the community that have helped and contributed to actually improve this project. I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes out of the project, and I'll be following it closely. If you're interested in seeing what else is upcoming for the project, there is a project roadmap which hints at some of the new features that may be on the way. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to drop me a like, and if you're not already, hit that subscribe button and ding dong that notification bell. You'll then be alerted to any future video that I do. As always, a massive thank you to these awesome dudes. These awesome dudes are my Patreons, and if you're interested in helping support my channel, which in turn allows me to create content like this, then you'll find a link to my Patreon in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.